producers are looking at, okay, what's been going on when it comes to this director's Rotten Tomatoes score. Box office, it's just a lot of things that are being looked at. The industry is just like, again, there's a bubble. There's just a bubble that's just, it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Oh boy. So. Now, I've talked about Rotten Tomatoes, and I always use Rotten Tomatoes because, yes, as much as I hate when you open up a movie page and it has that percentage and that's what everybody looks at and that's it, they don't actually look at the critic reviews. I mean, it's funny because there's a link to all of these that says full review. So you can actually get the full review, not just the headline quote. I get why they did it like that, but the thing that I always hate is the fact, well, first off, the tomato meter sucks. I hate that it's like, okay, so it has to be a 60% to be a fresh tomato. And, you know, I'm like, but there's like an average when it comes to this. But there's a new article that came out from THR that kind of went like, oh man, this is where we're at right now when it comes to the business, and especially after all the strikes that have happened. But here we go right here. Why it's never been easier to land in director's jail. Filmmakers who work on the ever smaller slate of major studio movies are dealing with risk-averse execs and a still wobbly distribution environment with their films sitting in the larger ecosystem of public traded parent companies. And if a movie flops with critics or at the box office, they're the first to get sentenced to movie jail. But because of current market conditions, there's an increasingly little margin of error for directors. More than a dozen industry insiders speaking with The Hollywood Reporter say studio filmmakers are now dealing with a particularly in a hospitable environment, even when compared with a couple of years ago. Fewer films are being made from big budget movies, of course, and then, of course, the fewer mid-budget offerings, which traditionally gave filmmakers more opportunities for financial success. Those features that are being greenlit, especially IP-driven ones, are being micromanaged by exceedingly risk-averse studio execs who are still trying to navigate how to release a film post-pandemic, with making hiring decisions amid belt-tightening and staggering layoffs that have netted shifting management. Everyone went on strike and came back to a different industry, a studio head was talking about. Everything lost momentum. Everything is being scrutinized and everyone has a new boss. Warner Brothers Discovery's top brass has been in place for fewer than 2 years, and in some areas of the studio, it's even less time than that. Then there is an industry-wide pressure to deliver windfalls that move the needle at the box office and fuel everything. Fuel, of course, the revenue streams that will appease shareholders. It's always about the shareholders. Film slates, now massive line item, sit within the larger narrative of publicly traded companies. Insiders say that the non-writing directors are having a particularly difficult time. Non-writing directors. So if anybody's worried about Zack Snyder, he writes all his own shit. So I think he'll be fine. Because of the limited number of studio films opening directing assignments that would normally be within the grasp of younger filmmakers are going to high-level talent. Elsewhere, up-and-coming directors, those who have a festival movie or two under their belts and are looking for the next step up, are getting boxed out. Long gone are the days of Colin Trevorrow making the jump from Sundance Darling to Jurassic World. Now, new talent must deliver multiple successful projects in a row, sans slip-ups, before being afforded the grace, albeit only so much, to fail at the studio level. Says a top manager with a stable of a studio, directors of Gauntlet for Filmmakers. You basically get one shot at proving yourself 3 times in a row. So 3 times. For their part, executives offer that there is a dwindling number of working directors, even those with a bomb or two, that can be trusted with bigger budgets to deliver on time, on budget, and on brand. Stunt person turned director David Leitch is at the top of the studio wish list as someone who is able to direct entertaining films while having a great relationship with talent. So basically just breaking down all this, where they're looking at, producers are looking at, okay, what's been going on when it comes to this director's Rotten Tomatoes score, box office. It's just a lot of things that are being looked at. The industry is just like, again, there's a bubble. There's just a bubble that's just, it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's getting to the point where luckily we have a lot of platforms out there, you know, granted they don't get taken away from you. There's a lot of platforms out there where people could just be like, you know what, I want to make something. I'm going to put it on this platform. I'm going to put it on that platform. I'm going to put it on that platform. But yeah, it's gotten to a point where when it comes to the industry, obviously they're going to be the Rotten Tomatoes score. Yes, it is a factor. It is a factor for the audience, and now it's a factor to producers and studios, sadly. But like it said in there, speaking about, certain, I guess you could say, directors that write their own shit, it's probably a good thing that you're writing your own shit, as opposed to just director being like, oh, I read this script, I'm going to direct this. Because now it's like, okay, if you write your own shit, you could probably get it made, and you could probably finance it and somehow get it made. But I don't know. There's just the Hollywood bubble is just going, with everything, especially that's been happening in the past few years. It's just, and it's going to burst. It's going to burst. I mean, even though like, oh yeah, we were all cheering like, hey, the writer strike is over, the actor strike is over. But there's still a lot of people that are out of work that still can't get work because they're making less movies. It got to the point where they were making so much shit, and they were making so much shit, literal shit, that they're like, oh, we're not going to do a season 2 of that. We're not going to continue on with that. You suck, you suck, you suck. There's a lot of people that probably got fucked over by that whole thing where the studios were like, hey, people are at home. We have lockdowns happening. We need content. So everybody was like, all right, we're doing this. We're going. But then all of a sudden the wages were shit. And then we're going on strike. Hey, we reached a deal. But only like a certain portion of those people got the deal. And there's still people that have been out of work for fucking 2 years. Maybe longer than that. I don't know. There's like a whole thing that's just happening in Hollywood where